What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Today I'm back with a brand new story from r/best of Redditor updates. This one is just ludicrous. This woman, it turns out, has invented an entirely dead sibling of hers for apparently no reason, not telling her three sisters or her parents. Now, when one of her sisters, OP, accidentally outs that lie to her husband, things kick off and everything gets very, very strange. There are a couple of updates to get into on this one as well, which hopefully will reveal even more. So yeah, if you're ready, sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. Oh, and also before we get into this, just a quick update from me. I've actually been quite ill over the past week or so, so that's why you probably haven't seen a newer episode on this channel in a while, but I'm back now. I'm looking forward to this one. So yeah, subscribe. Let's get into it. My sister made up a dead brother to her spouse and in-laws. I accidentally outed the lie, but why am I the bad guy here? Alright, so this was originally posted to r/relationship advice on April the 11th, 2025. I am usually a lurker, but something happened tonight that has me incredibly confused. Apologies in advance for the length. Backstory. I am the eldest of four sisters. We're stair-stepped, 2 years apart. I'm Meg, 38, Joe is 36, Beth is 34, and Amy is 32. Our parents used to joke about how they kept trying for a boy, but finally gave up after girl number 4. Not gonna lie, it hurt our feelings a little, especially Amy, the youngest. But they stopped that and assured us they wouldn't change anything. Every one of us has at least one daughter. I am the only sister that has a son. At 17, he's the eldest grandchild, and I'm fairly certain he's my dad's favourite person in the world. They are best friends. It's adorable. Okay, now that you have the backstory and family history, let's talk about tonight. My son, who is very intelligent and absolutely crushed high school, recently received his acceptance letter to a pretty prestigious university. Full ride. We're incredibly proud. My folks wanted to throw him a little congratulatory party, and tonight worked for all of our schedules, which is no small feat, 4 different families with 11 kids between them. So we all headed to the folks' house for pizza and cake. At one point, Amy brought up that it is Sibling Appreciation Day, and Mum said she wanted all of her girls to say what we appreciate about our sisters, and we go youngest to eldest, with most of the compliments going to me, as I was kind of a second mum to them. I told each of my sisters how much I loved them, among other things, and then I finished my speech off saying something like, "And I really appreciate that we didn't have any gross boys stinking up our house." All of us but Beth and her husband laugh. Beth's eyes got really big, and her husband, Chase, looked at me like I was something he scraped off the bottom of his shoe. Suddenly, he says, "That's pretty effed up." I said something like, "I don't know, Chase, I've smelled you after your workouts, it's pretty bad." And he got even more mad and said, "How could you talk about Tyler like that?" And Beth starts losing her mind, guys. She's grabbing him by the arm, begging him to hush, saying they need to go home now, etc. So naturally, I'm like, who is Tyler? Well, friends, apparently Tyler is Beth's twin that died during childbirth. And it made our folks and me so depressed that nobody is allowed to speak of him or reference him ever. Beth forbade Chase from ever mentioning him to any family member. After Chase told us this, nobody said a word. It was so dang tense. Finally, I just kind of bluntly said, "Well, I'm not sure why, but Beth's lied to you about this. I think you guys should talk about it, but I don't want to hear anything else about this tonight, as we're here to celebrate my son." After that, Beth burst into tears and ran into her old bedroom, with Chase, Mum, and Joe following her. The party never fully recovered, and they took off pretty shortly after that. I stayed behind to help clean, and so my dad and son could hang some more. While I'm doing the dishes, my mum scolded me pretty harshly about calling Beth a liar. "If the baby shoe fits, mother." My dad said I wasn't wrong, but I embarrassed Beth. Well, what the heck was I supposed to do? I was getting chastised over a lie. Absolutely not. Beth also texted me that I, quote, effed her over, and a text from Chase's phone told me I was the actual liar sister, and everyone knows that. Amy is on my side, but she and Beth always butted heads. Jo claims she's neutral, but she also told me I, quote, didn't have to call her out like that. But what the heck else was I supposed to do? Just take the lashing? And why is everyone acting like me calling out what I consider to be a pretty heavy lie is worse than the lie itself? How do we resolve this situation? I love my sisters so dang much. They're my best friends. But this is so weird and so wrong to put it on me. Okay, well that is just an incredibly strange lie. That is weird in and of itself, the fact that your sister has made up, and who knows why she's done this, by the way. I'm sure that will be revealed as we continue on in this story and get to relevant updates. But she's made up an entirely new sibling that never existed. I mean, yeah, crazy. But on top of that, you're the one that's getting chastised for calling her out on it. Again, I completely agree with you. What are you supposed to do? Just say, yeah, sorry about bringing up my imaginary dead brother's name that we agreed I should never do. Like, so odd. But yeah, I don't know. I find the whole thing very strange. But then what's arguably even stranger is the fact that no one is really supporting you apart from one of your sisters. Why? I mean, unless there's a lot more going on here. And as I said, we'll get into the updates because there are a couple. And who knows? Maybe there is a lot more. Maybe your parents and your other sisters know about this, or the fact that Beth has created Tyler. And again, who knows why she's done that? Maybe we'll find out. And that's why they're like, you didn't need to say that. But if they didn't know, like you didn't know, then for them to just come at you and say you didn't have to out her like that is absolutely ridiculous. So they just expect you to sit there and just say, yeah, you're right. We do have a dead brother. Okay, now before we get into the first of two updates here, I do want to just see what the comments are saying. Somebody said, I can't actually imagine any other response. I really can't. Were you seriously expected to lie along with her? I think that is shocking. Yeah, I agree. OP replied, I've got no idea what she was expecting. I have lied for her before, but saying she's at my house while she's really getting boudoir photos done for him is not the same as lying about a whole person who never existed. It's beyond bizarre. Someone else said, I'm kind of impressed that after all of that, she managed to convince her husband that you were the liar. Of course, if he still believes her, he's dumb as a brick. I think there is proof enough on her birth certificate, as it will state she was a single birth. OP replies, I will say, Chase is not a dummy, and he's typically not malicious. And although nobody really backed me up about this being a lie, at least not in front of me, I think it's pretty obvious that I was telling the truth, as everyone else was obviously confused and dead silent in the moment. I've not responded to the text, as I'm not looking to burn bridges. I've made many mistakes, and my sisters have graciously forgiven me. I'm just flummoxed and a little hurt. Someone else said, yeah, this is very weird. I'm confused at why your parents aren't embarrassed by your sister's behaviour, especially trying to keep up the lie afterwards and saying you're lying. Is she mentally okay? Does she have a history of lying? Well, we all lied as kids, OP said, but I assume that she grew out of it as an adult. We also all exhibited some attention-seeking behaviour, but again, age appropriate, especially for a family with 4 kids and 2 parents who worked full-time. My parents are hippies and very much live and let live kind of vibe, but this feels icky to me. So I'm a little surprised they're not more upset about it. Then again, they never punished us in front of each other, so they could be dealing with or planning to deal with the situation behind the scenes. Either way, Beth is way too old to be making up dead sibling stories. You know, I think from your parents' perspective, I just am surprised at their sort of lack of reaction. Maybe they were just absolutely shocked, but think about it from their point of view. You've just realised that one of your daughters has made up the fact that you had a stillborn son, and she's been saying this for her entire relationship with her husband probably, and never told you about it. Like, that would just send me for a loop. That is just so weird. I don't know how I'd even begin to, unpack that. Okay, just checked. Not stillborn, but died during childbirth. Whatever, doesn't really matter. It's still just effed up. Someone else said, your sister dug herself a weird hole. She's now mad that she has to dig her way out of it and is placing that anger on you for accidentally handing her the shovel. If she wants to blame anyone for being caught in a lie, she can look in the mirror. So, how do you fix it? Well, your sister has to pull her head out of her butt and apologise for putting you all in that position. And then you can think about apologising for being, quote, blunt about it. But to be honest, I don't feel you did anything wrong exactly here. You had no idea what was going on. Why were you being accused of being a bad person? You literally just wanted the focus back on your son's achievements. It's not like you accidentally spilled a secret you were supposed to keep. Your sister created this entire mess and should probably explain to you guys why she did it. OP said, I appreciate your input and kind words. I don't like drama, so I find it best to just kind of stop it in its tracks. And my son, we recently got an autism diagnosis, what was formerly referred to as Asperger's, and it's messed with his head a little. He's always been so bad socially and really struggled making friends. As a result, his cousins got the bulk of the attention. He was really proud of himself, and I wanted him to remember this little get-together because it was all about him for once. Someone else was a little more harsh on OP's sister, saying, your sister is a freak weirdo, making up a dead twin for what? Sympathy? Attention? She effed up and everyone knows it. Why anyone would want to cover up her lie is beyond me. She made her bed. Let her deal with the repercussions of this outrageous lie. Question though. Did or have your parents try to set the record straight with her idiot husband, or are they staying silent about this alleged twin baby that never existed? OP replied, when I told Chase she was lying, nobody backed me up, but I believe it was kind of obvious because nobody refuted my claims. That, coupled with Beth frantically trying to get her husband to leave, Chase is smart, he can put 2 and 2 together. I mentioned in another comment that our parents never punished us, nor really got onto us in front of each other. So I'd like to think they're handling things on that end behind the scenes and trying to appeal to my dislike of drama and empathy to get me to forgive her. I don't find the lie unforgivable, by the way. I think it's bizarre and I don't appreciate it, but I don't think our relationship is over. I love her. I took her on her first date. I took her and a boy to get ice cream and they held hands. We lied to our parents about that one. I helped take care of her when she was postpartum because Chase had to work. She's got my heart, you know? And then finally, one last comment. Somebody said, just to be clear, you do recognize this level of lie as a mental health disorder, correct? While I'm not a therapist, this very much sounds like some strain of Munchausen's. Again, not a therapist, just therapy adjacent in training and work, so I have some familiarity, so get her some professional help. This isn't just a cry for help, this is a sign of a broken brain that requires professional help and maybe even medical interventions. Maybe, I think that might be overstepping a little bit, and again, we don't know yet why OP's sister has made this up. Munchausen, by the way, refers to 2 related psychological disorders: factitious disorder imposed on self and factitious disorder imposed on another. This one obviously is imposed on self, and in it, individuals feign or cause illness in themselves to receive attention and care. Oh, actually, sorry, no, I've got that wrong. In the second, a caregiver fabricates or induces illness in another person, often a child, to gain attention or sympathy from others. I'm not sure about that. I suppose this comment is saying that OP's sister has made up her imaginary brother dying to get attention from Chase. Again, I'm speculating here, so I don't know, but I can't see that being the reason. I reckon it's some sort of familial thing about there not being any boys in the family, as rudimentary as that may sound. Anyway, OP replied saying, I work in healthcare, albeit not directly in the mental health field, but I am a little familiar with various disorders. I actually do think she's a hypochondriac. One of my nieces is always coming down with something. They're not actually. Or my sister definitely has Crohn's disease. She doesn't. She won't drink milk if it's within 3 days of the Best Buy date. Refuses bread pudding because you use old bread to make it. She won't eat brownies I baked from scratch the day before because they're old. So look, yeah, I know she's got some issues, but hey, we all have issues. I'm pretty emotionally closed off, except to my spouse and children. Some people think that makes me a female dog. I try not to be too judgmental because I'm definitely not perfect, but I am judging the F out of this. Yeah, rightfully so. Anyway, the next day, we got an update. Okay, I think we have some answers re the events that occurred last night. I do want to tell everyone who took time to give advice or kind words, thank you. I honestly couldn't read everything. I was and I am exhausted, but I did get an idea of how I wanted to approach everything, thanks to the advice given. I will get to the update in a few, I just wanted to answer some FAQs and comments really quick. 1. This is fake. Well, I wish it was. I really wish my mind worked in a way where I could make things up like this. Alas, my imagination is lacking. 2. Your parents named you after Little Women? Well, this is probably partially to blame for the fake comments. These are just placeholder names I used, as there are 4 sisters in that novel. My parents are hippies. They gave us some pretty noticeable names. If I used our real ones, on the off chance any of our friends read this, they'd know immediately this was our family. 3. Beth is continuing to lie, and Chase is believing it, and your mum and Joe threw you under the bus too. Well, read Chase. I think he knew I was being truthful. Also, I said the text came from his phone. I actually was thinking that Beth sent it, as that's not Chase's vibe. About Mum and Joe, they didn't throw me under the bus actually, but I'll go into more detail soon. 4. Is it possible that my mum actually had twins, and I just forgot or didn't know about the death? Well, absolutely not. I was at all of my sisters' births. I don't remember Joe's, but I do remember Beth and Amy's, and there were no multiples, no deaths, no funerals, no depression. 5. The birth certificate will prove it. Yeah, it sure would, but I'm not about to try and strong-arm my sister into showing her husband her birth certificate. 6. Your sister is mentally ill, also the golden child, and you're the scapegoat. I'm not about to say my sister is sick, but yeah, I do think she has some issues, as we all do. There's no golden child and scapegoat in this family though. My parents were and are really good about treating all of us fairly and equally. And 7, you could have / should have been more tactful or pulled her aside, not just outright called her a liar. Well, had I known that Tyler was my dead brother, I never would have asked who he was. Chase and I tease each other a lot, and I honestly thought he was about to come out with some kind of funny joke, a la D's nuts. Re my lack of tact? I don't know, I think it's pretty lacking in tact to make up a whole dead sibling. And really, facts are facts. She lied, and that's that. The night was about my son, so I squashed the issue and I chose to move forward, hoping to end the conversation with as little drama as possible. Okay, so now let's get into the update. After a night of barely sleeping and my blood pressure being dangerously high, I called my mum this morning fully ready to let out an emotionally charged tirade about how I feel they unfairly threw me under the bus and took Beth's side when she objectively did the worst thing. My mum answered the phone, apologising, and asked me to just listen. When she and Joe followed Beth and Chase to Beth's room, Mum did tell Chase that Tyler wasn't real, and this is an issue between her and Chase, and they should probably leave because she didn't want the evening ruined. She did get on to me, but it was mostly out of sympathy and empathy for Beth, and she recognised it wasn't okay, and she apologised for that. She spoke with Chase this morning, and Beth, who is the one that sent me the text from Chase's phone, finally came clean early this morning after hours of denying the lie. Something I didn't mention, as I didn't feel it was pertinent to the story, is Beth's eldest daughter, Madison, isn't Chase's biological daughter. He's been around since Madison was 2. Also kind of pertinent is that Chase is a first responder. He loves to be a hero, and he's very good in that role. He met Beth doing victims advocacy, and as such, I believe they both view him as saving Beth. This has long been speculated, but it's not exactly our place to say anything. And we all love Chase. He's an amazing person. And Beth is no dummy. She picked up on Chase's hero complex immediately. It appears that, in an effort to make herself look more sympathetic, vulnerable, broken, she lied about having a twin brother that died in childbirth. Wow. So that other comment, who thought that there could be Munchausen going on here, is actually like 100% right. Just again, so there's 2 types of Munchausen. The second one is factitious disorder imposed on another, Munchausen by proxy, where someone fabricates or induces illness in another person, often a child, to gain attention or sympathy from others. Now obviously there's not an illness here, but isn't that exactly what's going on? Wow, what a comment. How do they spot this? So maybe she's not a hypochondriac. Maybe she does just suffer from Munchausen. Anyway, let's go back to it. OP continues. I guess Beth being in an abusive relationship and having a small child just wasn't enough. Well, she didn't have to do that. They've been together 10 years now, and not once did she come clean. To me, that proves a clear pattern of deceit and manipulation. However, I'm not going to speculate on her mental health problems or reasonings for not coming clean. That is for her and her husband to deal with. Neither one of them have called or texted me to apologise, by the way, and I'm honestly unsure if they will. Beth is more of the rug sweeping type, while I may confront issues head on type. I will not be cutting my sister off for this though. I love her, and at the end of the day, I just want her to be happy and healthy. I do hope that this whole issue will cause her to rethink some of her life choices, and maybe she can get some therapy. I think we could all use therapy, to be honest. So that's where we are right now. My mum did not offer any information about how Beth and Chase are doing, and I didn't ask. It's not my business. I've not heard from Jo, but Amy and I have been texting all morning, and she is being my best good friend right now and providing a lot of support. Hopefully we can all move forward and grow together in the future. Thanks again for the support you've all sent my way. Wow. Now, there is one more update to come, which actually was pretty recent at the time of recording, 5 months after that one. But let's firstly just read a couple of comments quickly that were written underneath that update. Someone said, "I'm glad your mother apologised, but your sister really owes you and the entire family an apology. This was a really selfish and weird thing to do. She also owes Chase and his family an apology. I hope she gets some help for this. Good luck." Yeah, because, I don't know, would this have come up with Chase's parents? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, she's sort of sworn Chase to secrecy with her family, your family, OP, but is this something that has been talked about with Chase's family? I would actually say it probably is. I mean, ridiculous, but yeah. Someone else said, "Your sister could probably benefit from therapy. I will never understand why people think it's a good idea to lie about something that's so easily disproven. Don't lie about anything, and you won't have situations blow up like this. I hope she comes to her senses and apologizes to you." And that's a great point. Also, it's surprising it's taken 10 years for this to come to light in this sort of setting. Like, that's actually quite remarkable. This should have happened a long time ago. Someone else said, "I think your family needs to do a sit down with your sister because this isn't normal behavior at all. She lied for 10 years about a dead brother. You need to call this behavior out since she's way too old to be acting like this. And doing nothing is showing her that you guys will accept similar or the same type of behavior in the future." And finally, someone said, "Well, this is why she continues to do this nonsense at her big age. No one holds her accountable. You can't move forward and grow together if people don't take accountability. Your entire family enables her in the worst way." I think that's actually a great comment. Surely, if she'd been called out on this sort of stuff many years ago, and this probably does, in part, go back to childhood, I mean, I'm sure it does, then this wouldn't have happened. And now we're in this like horribly strange situation. Like, again, imagine being Chaser. Imagine your wife has been lying to you about a dead sibling of hers for 10 years. How you got to start thinking, you got to start second guessing everything. Like, surely you lose a bit of trust there and you're questioning everything. I don't know. Well, I've not been in that situation, thankfully. But it's a weird one, isn't it? Anyway, as I mentioned, 5 months later, we got this new update, which is the end of this story for now. Well, a lot has happened in the past months. I read all your comments multiple times, and I heard you. I faced some very hard truths about my family and our dynamics, but mostly I grieved. About a month after I made my original post, my dad passed away. It was very unexpected, a massive stroke. The worst part was Mum was out of town, so my dad died alone. My son talked to him that same day. They made plans for the next week, and then my dad was gone. It's been a very hard few months. I started therapy mostly to deal with navigating life without dad, but my therapist made a lot of good points about our family dynamic. Mostly that I was parentified and a people pleaser, that keeping the peace comes at a price, and that price was my needs being put on the back burner. And as a result, I keep people at an arm's length because of this, and I'll be danged if she wasn't right. So let's rewind a little. During the week or so after Dad died, Mum was lost. They'd been married over 40 years, so no surprise there. And as the eldest sibling, I stepped up big time. Jo and I already knew a little about our parents' end-of-life wishes, and we chose to go forward with cremation. Mum agreed. This is her wish as well, as did Amy. Guess who didn't? Well, if you guessed Beth, you'd be right. She just had a complete meltdown, wailing over how she couldn't stand the thought and will not allow it, and blah blah blah. This is probably the first instance of me shutting her butt down. I told her, in no uncertain terms, that this wasn't her choice. It was our father's preference, and it was happening regardless. Next, she was wandering through the house, trying to pick out stuff she wanted, before Mum had even given us her blessing. When she started, Mum asked her to please stop, let her sort some stuff first, and then she'll give a yes or no. When Beth asked what she needed to sort out, Mum mentioned Dad's watch collection. There was one specifically for my son, and when Beth inquired as to which one it was, Mum refused to answer. Beth insisted that wasn't fair, she should have first pick, blah blah blah. Mum and Joe apparently shut that down with a quickness. I wasn't there, but my son is now wearing the first luxury watch my dad ever bought, and he's so proud. Don't worry though, all the grandkids have something special. Next, she got absolutely plastered at his end of life ceremony. Went around wailing and making literally the whole thing about her grief and how her wishes weren't respected. And before I could snap, and believe me, I was this close, Chase dragged her butt out of the venue. And I'm not sure what happened, but when they got home, police were called, Beth was arrested, and my niece ended up with my mum for the night. My brother-in-law did have some bruises to back him up. Despite Beth calling us, nobody bailed her out. We're just done with it. She did get released on her own recognizance and only ended up with some community service and a fine. Chase was more than willing to do therapy with her, but she started drinking even more and, as a result, is being more aggressive with both him and the kids. There was another situation, and long story short, Chase is divorcing her and petitioning for full custody. He's asked us to write letters on his behalf, and I believe that all of us are going to do so. I don't know what's going on with my sister, but she is on a downward spiral, and it's so sad to see. She refuses to speak with anyone, and I am just done trying. I'd already decided to cut her off after the BS at Dad's end of life ceremony, but this solidified it. I won't be updating again. I'm washing my hands of all of this. I hope my sister gets help, but it will take a lot of work, and she's never been one to want to put in the work. I'm putting myself first for once and concentrating on my children, my husband, and myself. Thank you for listening to me vent. You are almost as good as therapy. Well, there we go. I'm going to use this story as a reminder to myself in future to really look at the comments that I do read out as the story is progressing on subreddits like this, where there are obviously updates, and take them a little bit more seriously, because a lot of the time I think, well, you know, we've not had the whole context yet. How can you be 100% sure that something is happening? I get, like, you're giving your opinion, you're sort of predicting what may be going on, but I still often take them with a pinch of salt. However, the comments on this one earlier on were pretty much bang on. Like the mental illness, the fact that it probably wasn't just this, like the dead brother situation that was going on, and maybe there was more to it. Like, it's clear your sister has some serious issues and needs some serious help. I know obviously your dad's death probably exacerbated all those issues tenfold, so there is context there, of course, but despite that, it does seem like she is just completely gone off the rails and is doing just crazy things. I mean, the top comment here underneath this entire post is, I just cannot believe that the person who lied about having a dead twin turned out to be not particularly stable. And I think that is a very good point, and I probably should have considered that more earlier. I just thought that there might be, not a logical reason for it, but those like long, twisted web of lies that people sometimes find themselves in, that again, like once you're in, they're just hard to get out of, and then you wake up and all of a sudden it's been 10 years. I thought this could be a situation like that. Even in that situation, you've got to come out of it and be brave enough to say, look, I've been lying. But yeah, this was clearly not the case, and she's just clearly got a lot of issues, which is, yeah, very sad. But there we go. That is going to do it for this one. Not quite sure what to make of it, but definitely one of the most ridiculous lies I've heard. But very, very tragic, really, to see how this story ended up, and to see that she had so many other issues going on. And the lie was just the tip of the iceberg, really. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, as always, on this one, on Beth. Yeah, How do you guys react to this? I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want more from me right away, check out this playlist of all my best of Redditor update relationship stories in one easy viewing and listening experience. And I will catch you very soon with some more crazy Reddit drama.